Hi, I'm Raquel from the blog Out of the Past, and I'm here with an Ask Us Anything video with my husband Carlos. Where's Carlos? There he is!
Hello everybody.
So we asked your questions on Twitter and Instagram, any questions regarding classic movies or new movies, so this will be a mix. And we got some really great questions and some really difficult ones too, so it took us a while to go through them all and come up with answers. So we're going to go question by question. We'll have the question here, and let's get started.
Cool.
With the first one. Teresa Gertie the Dino 89 asks, what were the first movies you watched so many times that you could recite all the lines? And for her, it was A League of Their Own. So you first.
For me, it is Full Metal Jacket, Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece.
And can you recite a line from it?
Yes, but it is full of profanity, so I don't think I will.
So for me, it was The Little Mermaid from 1989. It's the first movie when I was a kid that I watched so many times. I memorized all the songs. One time I watched it 7 times in one day. And I knew all the lines and especially all the songs. The next question is from Marcy, at Marcy K on Twitter. What films would you consider your movies? As a couple, mutual favorites, films that evoke memories in your relationship and remind you of each other. So ours is kind of funny because it's not classic movies and it's not the realm of movies that Carlos is specialist in like 70s, 80s, 90s. It's raunchy comedies. The second the second date we ever went on, we saw The Hangover.
Right.
And then other movies, do you want to name some of them?
Horrible Bosses, Bridesmaids, one of our personal favorites, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, we even, our honeymoon was at the resort that was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Turtle Bay.
And also The Ugly Truth, Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin. All of those are ones that we kind of bonded over, and we just love watching them over and over again, and we love laughing. It's just the fact that these are hilarious, raunchy comedies, and they suit our, sense of humor, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, the next questions come from Vanessa at CallMeVB on Twitter, and the first one is, what's one film you wish your spouse didn't like? Now, I don't have a specific answer for this, but we do have only one TV, and so we'll take turns of who gets to watch whatever they want. And, well, usually I hog the TV, but then he'll hog the TV too. And if he watches something on cable, he'll watch 3 movies at the same time. He'll watch an action movie, he'll watch a superhero movie, he'll watch sports or maybe some other type of movie. And it's so confusing, flipping between the channels.
I got it. Trust me, I got it.
And how about for you?
Well, sometimes you like to indulge in weird movies or something really bizarre or off-kilter, such as that Chilean director or...
Oh yeah, I watch Alejandro Jodorowsky movies on Filmstruck, and they're weird.
Yourself.
And I was like, but he's Chilean. I'm like, hey, it's a Chilean director.
We're not related.
And so Vanessa's second question is, what's one film you wish you could watch again for the very first time? And if you know me, I've always said Out of the Past because I want to experience that love again. And also Bachelor Mother because that's my favorite movie.
For me, it would be Lawrence of Arabia, just for the cinematography. Purely for the cinematography.
The next question is from Layla at Layla Film Fatale on Twitter. What are your favorite romantic comedies, classic Hollywood and recent?
One of my favorites is 2 Weeks Notice with Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant. I love the relationship between the straight-laced lawyer and the aloof playboy that Hugh Grant plays perfectly.
Yeah, he loves that movie. I was not sold on it. You'll find out more about that later. So mine are, I had to pick several because I love romantic comedies. So Holiday Affair from 1949. Pillow Talk from 1959 because I love that whole trilogy with Doris Day, Rock Hudson, Tony Randall. Bachelor Mother, of course. Bells Are Ringing from 1960. I love that. And You've Got Mail, 1998. So the next question is from Erin at Miss Erin McGee. What's the first movie you watched as a stay-at-home date together? So this is a kind of scandalous, possibly. answer. So our third date was at my place, and I really wanted to impress Carlos with my knowledge of classic movies. So I was like, I want to show him that older movies can be sexy. So it's like, I'll show him like a saucy pre-code. So I picked Red-Headed Woman from 1932 with Jean Harlow, Una Markle, Chester Morris. I was like, he's going to be so impressed by this movie. It was too early in the relationship, and we were both like really into each other, so we didn't watch much of the movie. It ended up being like, oh, let's watch 20 minutes and then make out, and then try 10 more minutes and make out some more. So
yeah,
like,
I still haven't finished that movie. That was 9 years ago.
One day we'll watch
9 years
movie.
ago.
The next question is from Hal at the Boz Dog on Twitter, and this was more of a prompt. Can you each choose one film from each decade, 1940 to 1990, that holds a special place in your heart? So the films I chose are going to be ones that I haven't really talked about in other videos, because I feel like I talk about the same films over and over again. So I'm going to choose something kind of different for each. So for the first one is Christmas in Connecticut from 1945, because it's such a sweet, funny, kind of homey kind of movie, great to watch around Christmas time. And I bought a faux fur coat because of Barbara Stanwyck in that movie. Also, I'm wearing my Christmas in Connecticut pin from Kate Gabrielle. River of No Return from 1954, that's my 50s pick, because I've actually been to the river that's in the movie, the Athabasca River in Alberta. And we saw that at the TCM Classic Film Festival.
Right.
And I was so emotional. My picks for 1960 are, the 1960s are Tony Rome from 1967, because that is a time capsule of Florida in the late 60s when my dad would have been living there. And A Patch of Blue from 1965, because it's just such a sweet and kind of sad but kind of hopeful movie. The Friends of Eddie Coyle, because it's Robert Mitchum and Boston, so enough said. Flashdance from 1983, which is like quintessential 80s. From the 1990s, The Portrait of a Lady from 1996, when I was a hardcore classic, not like into classic literature, and I would read novels and go see them on the big screen, and that was one that like I read, fell in love with the book, then fell in love with the movie. What are your picks?
So I chose Casablanca from 1942. There's really nothing to say why I would choose that. One of the best movies ever to come out of Hollywood. A great anti-hero story with a happy ending. Spoiler alert, sorry.
Is that your number one favorite movie?
It is my number one favorite movie. I know it's on a lot of people's number one list for many reasons, and there's nothing that, no other movie that compares to it for me. So for the 1950s, I chose To Catch a Thief, 1955. Cary Grant, Grace Kelly, The South of France, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. A lot of people don't think it's a real Alfred Hitchcock movie due to its light fare, but just the sheer sophistication of those characters in that time period in the South of France.
And remember when you got the Blu-ray?
Yes.
You watched it like 5 times in a row.
Yes. Especially the scene with the flowers in the market, the colors just explode. For the 1960s, I chose The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from 1966, just for the ending. That's all you have to watch it for. Well, you should watch the whole movie, but it's really the ending that is mind-blowing. For the 1970s, I chose Jaws, 1975, Steven Spielberg's first big hit, and filmed in Massachusetts.
I haven't seen it yet. Whoops.
For the 1980s, I chose Meet the Feebles, 1989. If you have not seen that movie, stop this video, go watch this movie.
Oh yeah, he showed me that movie and I was like, what is going on? And you think I watch weird movies.
You got me on that one, and I didn't think that she would like it, but she actually said it was okay and didn't stop.
It was enjoyable.
She didn't stop halfway through the movie and like run into the other room crying. And for the 1990s, I chose Silence of the Lambs from 1991. Multiple Oscar winners, terrifying story, great characters. What else can you say?
I'd say I read the book, but I can't watch the whole movie. I've watched scenes.
I'll get her to watch the movie.
Eventually. The next question is from Karen at the Dark Pages on Twitter. What's your favorite pre-code? And this one will have to finagle a little bit because Carlos doesn't have a favorite pre-code, but he has a favorite silent.
It is Seventh Heaven.
And you like that, why?
Because the characters are completely in love with each other.
Aww. It is a very romantic movie, and he was very impressed with it. For me, favorite pre-code is Red-Headed Woman from 1932, but I watched it at the TCM Film Festival, and I totally blame Jay, but he was like, this film is silly. And then I watched it with an audience, and I'm like, yeah, this film is really silly. So if I had a backup, it would be Female from 1933 with Ruth Chatterton, mostly for the Art Deco mansion and pool, but also because of the storyline. So the next question is from Karen. What's your favorite noir?
Night of the Hunter from 1955. Really, it is Mitchum's complete devotion to the character. I understand that every actor immerses themselves in their character, but Mitchum was just 110% the preacher. I did not see Robert Mitchum in that role. I just saw the preacher.
Yeah, he was really good, and that movie is so creepy and just beautifully shot.
Amazing movie. I'm glad she introduced me to it and to Robert Mitchum.
Mm-hmm. And also for me, favorite noirs Out of the Past, also with Robert Mitchum. But if I were to pick something other than that, I'd either pick The Setup from 1949, the classic boxing film noir movie with Robert Ryan, or DOA 1950, which is a great mystery with Edmund O'Brien. He gets poisoned and he has to figure out who killed him. The next question comes from our pal Jessica on Twitter at Hollywood Comet. It's a two-part question. So the first part of the question is, who is your favorite on-screen couple?
For me, it is I'm sorry, I'm blanking. For me, it is Steve McQueen and Faye Dunaway in The Thomas Crown Affair, 1968, shot in Boston. And the reason I like them as an on-screen couple is because they're both very well dressed. They're both extremely sophisticated, and the sexual tension is palpable throughout the entire movie.
Oh my goodness, that movie is so cool. And we actually went to go find the filming locations. If you go to my blog, you'll see what we found. But it's like, yeah, they're so well dressed, they're so cool. And if you compare it with something like Bullet, the Steve McQueen, Faye Dunaway characters, like Faye Dunaway has more agency, she has more stuff to do. Jacqueline Bisset in Bullet is just, it's kind of a sad character.
Eye candy.
But Faye Dunaway is like eye candy with like something to do.
With brains.
Yes. So for me, it's actually, you might not have guessed this one, but it's actually Lucille Ball and Henry Fonda in Yours, Mine, and Ours from 1968. They absolutely love each other in this movie, and they were a couple in real life years before. And the premise of the movie is you have a widow and a widower, and they have a bunch of kids, and they fall in love with each other and find out they have a bunch of kids, and they're like, okay, this won't work, but they love each other, so they get married and have this gigantic family. You know that they love each other if they're gonna have like literally 20 kids and raise 20 kids. It's got to be some kind of connection between them that allows them to want to
survive
and tackle that kind of life. And also, I watch that whenever I feel overwhelmed, because I think to myself, at least I'm not in that situation. So the next part of Jessica's question is, as a couple, is there a movie pair that you aspire to emulate? And I have a box set here to show with this. And our choice is Nick and Nora Charles from the Thin Man series. Elegant,
right,
chic,
right,
carefree. They have sophisticated air, but they don't take themselves too seriously. Everyone wants to be around them. You want to have a martini with them and party with them. You want to be invited to their New Year's party. And they're just like a fun couple. I don't know anybody who watches that and think, oh, they're terrible. Like, no, they're just so cool. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Hun?
I think they're a great couple. They have a playful banter with each other, and very well dressed, very cool, very sophisticated.
Yeah. I realized that I am missing a whole page of questions. Oh, it is on the back! The next question is also from Jessica at Hollywood Comet. What movie makes you cry the most or makes you the saddest if you aren't a crier?
This happens probably to a lot of people. It is the end of It's a Wonderful Life. If you don't reach for a tissue, you are a cyborg. Just a little bit. I cried. Just a little.
Only time I've ever seen him cry is watching that movie, and it happens every time he watches the movie.
Just a little, though.
Oh. So for me, it's Make Way for Tomorrow from 1937.
Oh, God.
Because I have a soft spot for old people. It's about an elderly couple who are going to get separated because their kids are evil. And when I watched it, I was hyperventilating crying. And no, I'm good. And Carlos was like, "What is going on?" Remember,
Yeah.
he like threatened to rip the DVD out of the player.
Yeah, and just throw it away because she was just streams down her face.
And I was like, I couldn't breathe. I was crying so hard. And someone tried to get me to watch Tokyo Story. It was like a remake of that by Ozu. And I'm like, I can't revisit that story. It's just, yeah. So the next question is from Lou at Lou Luminek on Twitter. Most disappointing film you waited years to see. So for me, I've waited years to see lots of films, and I have yet to be disappointed. And I'm going to answer this kind of in a backwards way. So I chose Easy Rider from 1969. I pretty much thought I was not gonna like that movie. I was like, I'm gonna watch it, and Carlos was like, hey, do you want to watch Easy Rider? Do you want to watch Easy Rider? And I was like, no. And then one day I was just like, let's watch it, right? And you were like, oh my god, this is crazy. And I watched it, and I also cried really hard watching that movie. It spoke to my misfit self. So it had the opposite reaction of what I was expecting. But I actually don't have one that I've been disappointed in. How about you?
So this is going to generate a lot of responses, but it was Blade Runner. People have been talking about it for years, saying what a sci-fi masterpiece it is. I finally broke down, without even watching it in its entirety, the right cut, of course, and I watched it and I just didn't get it. I need to watch it a few more times to give it more of a chance, but after the first viewing, I just didn't get it.
So do you think something would help you get it next time you watch it, like reading about it, or?
Well, I've read about it, and I read, there's 17 different cuts, so I made sure I got the correct cut of the movie.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a couple more shots before I give up on it.
So the next question is at wave _of_ gray. What movies do you love that he just doesn't get, and vice versa? So we brought these movies up earlier. 2 Weeks Notice, which is his favorite romantic comedy, and You've Got Mail, which is my favorite romantic comedy. And they're kind of similar stories because they're about opposites who kind of hate each other and then kind of love each other. I showed him You've Got Mail, and I don't like it. Even though this movie means so much to me and changed my life forever, got me the book business. And then you showed me 2 Weeks Notice, and I love Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant, and I was like, oh, I don't know.
That's cool. That's cool.
What didn't you like about You've Got Mail? You didn't even finish it.
Yeah, I didn't finish it.
That's terrible.
That's okay.
It's better than Blade Runner.
All right, I'm out.
Okay, the next question comes from Mac at TotallyMac on Twitter, and this is a great one. We struggled with this so much.
I did.
Name a character who reminds you of your spouse, either in traits, looks, quirks. And she warns, I just realized this could get heated. Be nice, guys. LOL. So we ended up choosing like characters and actors. So you go first.
So 3 qualities. Our first one is quirky. And I chose Polly from Along Came Polly because she is very, very quirky and drives Ben Stiller crazy with her quirkiness.
Wait, hold on. And also, if I had to pick for myself, I'm kind of like Lucille Ball in the Long, Long Trailer, driving her husband nuts about how their trailer should be. Mm-hmm. I do that with our home.
Mm-hmm. And then for being incredibly smart, very driven, because she does like 1 million projects a week, and sees 1 million movies a week and gets it online somehow.
Thank you.
I chose Sandra Bullock from 2 Weeks Notice. She is a Harvard-educated lawyer, and she turns Hugh Grant's business and life around. Mm-hmm. And for sexy, I'm going to get punched in the face for this one. I chose Ava Gardner.
But for Carlos, I chose 3 different actors that have like some element of him. So I chose Robert Mitchum because you have that like barrel-chested, brawny kind of build. And then Sterling Hayden, because Sterling Hayden had kind of that cool aloofness. And then I chose Dean Martin because Dean Martin had that like Rat Pack playfulness.
Good choices.
Always kind of like He's always like smirking because he said something that was kind of a little naughty or, like, got under somebody's skin or something, but it was still kind of playful and fun. So that's what we chose. So the next question is from Adam at AC Rogers 80. I'd love to know your thoughts regarding classic films on Blu-ray and how titles in that format compare in quality to their DVD releases. Is there any significant reason to choose one over the other when purchasing a film produced decades ago? So what's your reason for buying Blu-rays?
I think it's a very good idea because you have usually much better features. They clean up the audio, it gets remastered, you get a much sharper film. Some people would argue that they don't want to see a classic movie with such detail because it takes away from the aura or from the feel, the actual grainy feel of the movie. I'm really into the definition of the movie. I like a very sharp, very defined picture. That's just me.
So for me, I think it's really important for us to keep buying Blu-rays because it helps support the studios and distribution companies, Criterion, Kino Lorber, all of them, who are putting effort into not only remastering but preserving these films. And for black and white films, I don't see quite the difference between the DVD and Blu-ray. I have to say the only difference I notice is in Out of the Past, which is incredible on Blu-ray. And in some cases, the Blu-ray does help with color films. Like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers really needed a Blu-ray release and needed cleaning up. So when that came out this year, that was amazing. And then Pillow Talk is notoriously bad on many DVD versions, and the Blu-ray was also absolutely necessary. So in some cases, it really does help because the quality has deteriorated over the years, and just the support of those releases. The next question comes from Jim at Gatos Jim on Twitter. How would you cast a new remake of The Maltese Falcon? Also, would you set it today or back in the 30s or 40s? I would set it in the past, in the 40s. What do you think?
I concur.
And so we went through just kind of the main characters and main actors and assigned them a new actor or actress. So I'll name the actor, the original actor and their character, and Carlos will name who we picked. So for Humphrey Bogart's Samuel Spade, we picked
John Hamm.
Because John Hamm is so friggin' cool. And he needs to be in a 1940s style movie.
Yeah, he can also carry the look of Sam Spade, which was brilliantly played by Humphrey Bogart.
So the next, Mary Astor, Bridget Shaughnessy.
Tilda Swinton.
I think just because she has the kind of androgynous vibe and she has like kind of that no-nonsense feel, I think that would have been a good choice. For Peter Lorre, whose character was Joel Cairo.
We picked Rami Malek.
Because he has that kind of look, like he has that Peter Lorre look with the eyes.
And he's also a smaller frame, so he sort of emulates the whole look of Joel Cairo.
And plus he's a great actor.
Yes.
Sidney Greenstreet, his character was Casper Gutman.
We struggled between John Goodman and Liam Neeson. I thought some of the parameters for choosing the new character would be an older gentleman, a larger frame, who was sophisticated. My first thought was John Goodman, not so much because of the sophistication, and then we started scrolling through and saw that Liam Neeson had popped up, which I think personally is a better choice for that character. And
it would be maybe too small a part for him. So that's maybe one reason not to pick him, but I think he would be good in that. So the last one, kind of a controversial pick for us, Elisha Cook Jr. as Wilmer Cook.
We chose Casey Affleck.
Who, as I said, controversial pick, but they look so much alike. So those are our choices for Maltese Falcon remake, which we hope, actually with that cast, I hope that would be remade. What do you think?
That would be very interesting.
So the next question comes from Twitter. Garrison at Garrison66 asks, last movie you two watched together, and that was?
8th Grade.
Which we watched last night, and I loved it so much that I actually dreamt about writing my review for it. Like words, like whole sentences of my review were coming to me. What did you think of that movie?
I liked it because it showed what a typical teenager goes through in 2018.
And it's like, I'm so glad that I wasn't a child of social media.
A lot of peer pressure, a lot of hanging out on your phones, very cliquey, in school, certain groups for certain people. It was an interesting study on how a typical teenager lives in today's society.
Question is from @ChangingReels on Twitter. Worst classic film aimed at a female audience? And Carlos does not have an answer for this. No. I chose the ending of two movies. Female from 1933 and Woman of the Year from 1942, which are both movies kind of aimed at women. And they're great up until their ending, where they fix the situation in which these career women have to kind of go back to, oh, I'm just going to be a happy housewife and mother. And it's like, oh, great. But they are sign of the times, so those are my picks. The next set of questions come from Instagram. The first one's from Kate, @KateGabrielle. Among the films that you introduced to each other, what is the movie that Carlos was reluctant to watch but ended up loving, and a movie that you were reluctant to watch but ended up loving?
I chose Safety Last. I just thought it was going to be a boring, silent movie, nothing going on, whatever. And as I watched the movie, I got more into it, and I started to realize that with all those crazy stunts, there is absolutely no CGI. The other movie I chose was Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. I didn't know too much about the movie going into it, and as I watched it, I got more and more into it to see if he actually got away with it.
And I have to say about Safety Last, he loved it so much that we actually have a picture of him trying to climb a building, just pretend climbing. And that's like one of my favorite pictures of him. For me, so I had mentioned Easy Rider earlier. That's a film I really didn't think I was going to like, but ended up liking. And there were a few films that I was like, oh fine, I'll just watch them. Jeez. Like Scarface. I love Scarface. Like, that is such a bro movie. Like, say hello to my little friend. And like, all guys have like a Scarface poster. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know if I'll like it. And then I ended up liking it a lot. Like, it's such a good movie. Full Metal Jacket. And also the thread between those two movies is Lillian Michelson did the research for both. So I think maybe that had opened my mind up a little bit to them. I really like that movie. And then also, Carlos introduced me, I wasn't reluctant about it, but it deserves a shout out, is Ocean's 11.
1960.
Which he told me about the ending. I watched the ending. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. I have to watch it. And then I watched it. It's so good. And tell them about the story about how you gave me this.
So she liked the movie so much that I decided to buy it for her on Blu-ray. And I put it in her lunch bag, so when she opened her lunch up, she would see it. Unfortunately, she decided to put her lunch bag in the refrigerator. And then I asked her, she saw her surprise, and she said, "What surprise?" I said, "Go look in your lunch bag." And she goes, "The lunch bag's in the refrigerator." I'm like, "Get up from your desk and go get your lunch bag before you destroy my gift."
But it ended up being fine. So the next two questions come from Nikki @NikkiLM4 on Instagram. So she's going kind of off of Kate's question, which is, which films did you introduce to each other thinking that the other would enjoy but didn't? For me, I showed Carlos All About Eve. And I was like, oh, he's going to love this. This is such like a fun kind of catty movie. And George Sanders is in it. Marilyn Monroe has a small role. Betty Davis has come back. It's so great. And he didn't finish it. Yeah. How about you?
I introduced Raquel to Goodfellas, and for obvious reasons she did not like it, as it is a little violent, and there's a little bit of blood.
So Nikki also asks, what film do you or Carlos pull out that makes the other groan because you or Carlos just can't stand to watch it one more time? Now, we don't actually have a film answer for this, but we have TV answers, like, because we both have our own favorite TV shows that we watch on repeat to like an obsessive degree. So what are ones that you're like, oh my god, you're watching that again?
So as Aldous Snow would say, through the interminable dross is the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I just simply cannot handle that series. It's just way too out of left field for me. It's
so
too
quirky.
much. No. And The Office, which Raquel actually got me to watch, and I absolutely love The Office. I think it's a great series. It's very, very funny. And I don't mind watching it over and over again, but that damn Kimmy Schmidt has to stop. I'm sorry.
It's so bad. It's so bad but so good. But yeah,
No,
he's like,
no,
oh, you're
no.
watching this again? You've already seen it.
Ridiculous.
So for Carlos, and I love this show. This is like my absolute top favorite show is Mad Men, but he watches it like a crazy amount.
Yep.
We've seen it together like maybe 5 or 6 times all the way through.
Yep.
But he's seen it like
And we have the full
triple
Blu-ray
that.
collection.
And you also like love to watch House of Cards. House of Cards like obsessively loves
Yes.
that show. Okay, so last 3 questions from Instagram. So at Lemony Lyman, Raquel actually on Instagram, what film did you guys like to watch when you're feeling down and need a pick-me-up? For me, it's Bridesmaids every single time, especially that scene in the bathroom of the bridal boutique when they have food poisoning. I just think it's hilarious. Every time I'm feeling down and I need a pick-me-up, I'll watch that. And also Yours, Mine, and Ours that I referred to earlier. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's a good one.
For me, it is the Blues Brothers. What's not to like about 2 guys going across the country on a mission from God and running into Aretha Franklin, John Lee Hooker, and Ray Charles on the way?
So the next question is from Mark at the.animation.commendation. What is a classic film that you both love that you would want to see remade now? And for me, it's Young Man with a Horn from 1950. And I chose that. That stars Kirk Douglas, Lauren Bacall, and Doris Day. I did a comparison on my blog of book versus movie. The book has more about the racial dynamic of the period. It's a jazz movie, basically. And also about the drug abuse that's missing from the film. And also the film plays up the female characters more. And there's some suggestion of Lauren Bacall being a lesbian, like her character being a lesbian, but it's also played down because of the era. So I feel like some new filmmaker could take that, still set it in the past as like kind of 1940s jazz era, or kind of go back into the themes of both the book and the movie that weren't really explored.
So I chose All the President's Men, even though it is a little bit further down the timeline. It could be easily adapted to show the failures of the Nixon administration and the current administration.
Okay, last question on Instagram. At LuxWishPan asks, do you insert taglines or favorite quotes into your daily conversations? He totally does.
Just like Austin Powers, I throw the word baby after everything.
You see so many lines from those movies.
It could be how's your day going? I'll be fine, baby. I just throw baby on the end of everything.
And also, we love to quote The Hangover too, because that one is so quotable, like FBI, CIA, MSNBC. I love saying, there's a line Lucille Ball says in the Long Long Trailer. She's like, turn right here, left. And whenever we're driving and we're like confused about directions, I love to pull out that one. Well, thanks for watching. We hope that you liked the questions and the answers. And if you like this couples video, maybe we'll do another one. And thank you to my husband, Carlos, for coming on.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Poochie. From 8th grade.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
They know that from 8th grade.
Okay.